let's start the day with some of the global events. So obviously they'll be starting at the second half of the day when they're global events. Eurozone CPI data will be coming out, while on the domestic front, obviously we have the RBI MPC meeting minutes as well, and even the Federal Reserve will be coming out with their minutes of the meeting which went out in the month of February. And then that on the domestic front, in terms of dividend eligibility, it's the last day to buy Kirloskar Oil Engines, Metropolis Healthcare, Supradeep Engineering if you want to be applicable for the dividend. Other than that, in other events, you'll be watching out for the ECB's Governing Council meet that will be there, as well as G20 finance and central bank deputies will be meeting today. Some more discussion points will be happening on that front as well, Harsh.
Absolutely, Vinny. And let's go straight to geopolitical news. Of course, the big address yesterday was by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Just days ahead of the anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine war, Putin blamed the West for fueling the conflict in the region. He said the West was diverting the attention of the world by creating conflict, and that allies poured in trillions of dollars to fund the Ukrainian forces. Putin also said that the West was trying to globalize a local conflict and said his country's military was too powerful to be engaged in a direct conflict. Let's go straight to my colleague Shinjai Chaudhary, who filed this report earlier yesterday.
Yesterday, President Joe Biden of the United States spoke about the Ukraine war in Kiev at that. Today, it was the turn of Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, to speak out. And he has blamed the West for the war. He has said that Russia didn't want the war. It was something that the West has forced upon the Russians. And he has said that the Americans and the West have been arming the Ukrainians for a long period of time. As a result, Russia had no other choice but to get into the war, and it was forced to do it to stop the neo-Nazi regime in the Ukraine. Also, it has said that the West was training Ukrainian soldiers even before Russia invaded Ukraine, and also that in this while the Russians know that the Americans and others have given $150 million worth of weaponry to the Ukrainians. But there has been no talk about when the war can stop. There has been no statement about how the war can come to an end. Already, hundreds and thousands of people have been killed or wounded in the fighting, including civilians. The Russians, because they were aggressors, have really suffered more casualties. But at this point, it is very clear that the war will probably go on.
And keeping it with that, after Putin's speech on the ongoing Russia's crisis with Ukraine, ED now spoke to Suresh Goyal, former ambassador of India, to get his perspective. Let's go across and listen in.
You know, we all tend to believe that the people who lead us, whether it is in India or the USA or Russian Federation, wherever, we elect them and we think they're gods. We think they know better than all of us, really. The problem is that they're just human beings like us. They're also subjective. They're also basically emotional, and they also get upset, they get angry, they're happy and everything. They're just like us. The problem in the case of Ukraine, Russia and the USA is the different aspirations have come in the way of finding a reasonable settlement. It happened 1 year ago. If they had to find a settlement, that settlement could have been found without any problem at all if we were all rational people. But we are not, and we all have our own challenges. And therefore, in this particular case, I think what actually might have appeared to be a simple problem has become gradually a European problem. And despite what the Minister Jaishankar might say, it is soon becoming a universal problem because the economy is so interlinked.
Right, and we'll go stock specific. Vinny did speak about Walmart, and Walmart topped holiday quarter earnings expectations as the discounter said it drew budget-conscious shoppers to its stores. The big box retailer gave a weaker than expected outlook for the year ahead. The company said it expects some store sales for Walmart US to rise between 2% and 2.5%. excluding fuel, in the fiscal year ahead. Walmart is of course the largest grocer in the US by revenue.
Let's keep it with more earnings, and Coinbase reported user numbers that actually fell short of the analyst estimates, even as the fourth quarter earnings and revenue beat the projections. Revenue plunged nearly 75% from a year earlier as the so-called crypto winter continued to drag on the prices of cryptocurrencies. Coinbase's user base continues to shrink, and the company said its monthly transacting users also declined during the quarter four.
Well, yes, and HSBC reported fourth quarter earnings as well, of course, calendar year 22, that beat analyst expectations. The bank's reported profit before tax for the 3 months ended December was $5.2 billion, 108% higher than the $2.5 billion it clocked a year ago. HSBC said its fourth quarter results reflect a strong reported revenue growth and lower reported operating expenses. The bank cut its annual bonus pool by 4% to $3.4 billion in 2022.
Moving on to some news coming in on Tesla. Tesla has actually paused plans to produce entire batteries in Brandenburg, Germany, and will instead carry out some production steps in the United States, where tax incentives are more favorable. The US car maker had originally planned to produce the full battery at a site in Germany with a peak capacity of over 50 gigawatts per hour per year.
Well, and Microsoft Corp has struck a 10-year deal to bring Call of Duty and other Activision games to NVIDIA Corp's gaming platform if the Xbox maker is allowed to complete its much-contested $69 billion acquisition of Activision. Regulators and competitors like Sony have come out hard against the proposed Microsoft-Activision tie-up. The move may allay concerns by ensuring more ways for consumers to get games controlled by Microsoft.